You're the real war gamer. Iron Cross man-to-man combat on the East Front, 1941-42. Let's talk about what's happened as the Russians move into the very edge of the town here. Okay. I think this stack moved first from up here. They are in the up state there because they didn't have enough movement points to change during the movement phase. They're in this 1 hex building. 1 hex building. I marked them as moved. Let's see. I can't remember if the Germans tried to. No, I guess the Germans did not try to observe. Okay, then I think this stack moved down here. Same deal. Into a 1 hex building. Didn't have enough movement points to get back into the down state. Then these guys moved on to the map like before, like the units ahead of them. I thought I wanted to try to... Yeah, I must have done this. I must have... No, I did. I did actually before they moved down. I tried with the light machine gun here. Using the light machine gun, I tried to fire, well, first tried to observe. I think they failed the observation. That's why it'd be nice to have maybe a failed observation marker, but oh well. I think they tried to observe first, and they failed. I think I rolled boxcars actually, not even close. Okay. And I think I understand now the optional penalty, which I think is great in the rules. I didn't quite get this at first, but oh yeah, now I remember. It says when there were no modifiers to the observer. I'm not sure what those words are supposed to mean, but to the observer. So did the light machine... favoring the observer. So there's a list of modifiers favoring the observer. Let's see if any of them applied. No. 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 Oh, I guess none of them do apply. All right, so none of the modifiers that favor the observer applied to the light machine gun here. So if that's what those words mean, when there were no modifiers to the observer, if the observing units, well, it would be unit, the light machine gun here, because only one unit in a hex can attempt to observe another hex. Okay. Has not yet moved, and they did not move yet. They moved in the earlier turn. So they have not yet moved. All the units in the observing hex are considered to have moved for that player turn. They may still fire normally. So maybe, again, probably be better to have a marker for that. But if they're considered to have moved, then I could put that on to remind me. But I don't know. I'd like something more specific. I marked this stack that moved here into this 1 hex building. I marked them with the 3 that corresponds to the 3rd phase there, the movement phase. So they moved in their movement phase, the Russian movement phase. We're in the German defensive fire phase, which is the 5th phase. And this comes into play when we do the modifiers for observation, and we have all of these multiple cases that include within the last 3 phases. Okay. Then down here, this stack moved down here similarly. They moved in the down state though. So they paid, units in the down state pay different movement point costs per terrain. They moved down here to this 1 hex building. Importantly, there are 4 units, 4 soldiers, which means that when the Germans try to observe, they get a -1 because the target hex has 4 more men in it. Okay. So they moved down. I marked them with the move marker. These guys came in behind, similarly, up onto the hill, down into the down posture, like that. Okay, actually, technically these guys move like that. Okay, then that was all the Russian movement phase, and again I marked these guys. Obviously they would all be marked with the 3s, but these are the 2 that came into play later. Reaction movement phase, the Germans are not going to do any reaction movement. Then it goes to the defensive fire phase. So the non-phasing player may attempt to fire any of his normal status units that performed reaction movement and or opportunity fire may not fire. Okay. So for German reaction fire, I think it was over here first. So first, for observation, they rolled 2. They had, I think they had a few modifiers, but they're trying to observe this hex. They're in the terrain gives you your base observation number. So a single building hex, single 1 hex building, base observation number is 6. Then we go through the observation modifiers, and we've got +1 for non-AFE unit in downstate, and we've got -2 for any unit in the target hex moved within the last 3 phases. That's why I've got the 3rd phase marked there. So this was only 2 phases ago, earlier. So that offsets the +1 for down, so now we're at 0. But then we have -1 for the 4 more men. And I think that's it. So they easily observe. Since they easily observe, I go ahead and mark them with my own little observation reminders. Something else, by the way, I should point out. I think, I was trying to think, I think identifying the actual observer matters, because there is so only 1 unit in hex can attempt to observe another hex. So I used the rifleman here. I can't remember why I did that. I don't think I paid much attention here, but it mattered over here, I think. Did it matter? Oh well. So only 1 unit can observe. So 1 unit here. There are 2 German units stacked in here. 1 can observe this hex. The other soldier can observe another hex, but the other soldier cannot attempt to observe the same hex. And then if one is successful like this, the rifleman was successful, that means all units in the observer's hex are considered to have seen the enemy units. So basically 1 attempt at a hex, and if you succeed, all the units in the observer's hex see the enemy. Okay, so but there is an if the observer is a commander -2, so at least there you want to pay attention to who's actually observing. Okay, so then I put my little observer markers there to remember. Then they rolled 11 for their PC, their performance check. They needed an 8 or less there, so not even close. So they successfully observed, but did not successfully, perform the fire. So that should, and this isn't, again, why I might have made the mistake before of putting the marker. I might, when I was playing earlier. Anyways, this needs to actually go on the individual soldier. So that soldier attempted to observe, so the marker's going on them, because the rule is if the target hex, so this one can go on the hex. That doesn't matter. Oh, but I still want to, I think I'm relearning some of this stuff from playing before. Anyways, I will put it on top of the units that were attempted to observe at this time. Okay. The modifier is if the target hex was successfully observed on a previous player turn and neither the observer nor the units in the target hex have moved since that observation. Well, that all makes sense, but see, this unit could presumably move away, but the observer is still there. Okay. On the other hand, what happens when the Russians move another unit in there? No, you'd still want to know the units in the target hex have moved since that observation. Well, I'm going to assume it makes a difference. Okay, I'm just going to assume they also have the 3. And then back over here. So here we have the machine gun and we have the rifleman. Now I chose to use the rifleman to attempt to observe down the road here to the Russians there. They rolled a 6 here. The base number for a single hex building is 6, but I think a few different modifiers might have canceled each other out, but it's -2 for the moving. How do they put it? Any unit in the target hex moved within the last 3 phases. That's why we need the 3 there. So that's what made the... Well, I guess it would have been 6 or less anyways. But yeah, they made the observation roll. But then they failed the PC check. The PC check, was on the machine gun, which is what I wanted to fire. So I'll leave the observation, B to B. I don't want to fire. I don't want to just fire with the rifleman, but I wonder if the rifleman could. I guess the rifleman could fire. Or maybe I need to review the group fire rules. Okay, so clean it all up. I guess this would go... This kind of goes with the movement marker, I guess. Okay.